Let's watch a typical BioLet installation and setup. This is the home of Len Mackey in East Central Minnesota. Hope he's up already.
Hey, Bob, good morning.
Morning, Len.
Come on in.
Len, before we get started, I wonder if you could tell us what prompted your decision to install a BioLet?
Sure, be glad to. First, I guess I simply like the whole idea. It's good common sense. Why waste good water in a flush toilet when you don't have to? Plus, I didn't want to cut a bunch of nice trees and bulldoze my yard to put in a big, expensive mound septic system, which I don't like the idea of in the first place.
That sounds pretty typical. How will you be handling your wash or gray water then?
By not flushing, my wastewater flow is reduced by half, so I'm using a much smaller sand filtration system.
I can see that you appreciate BioLet's purpose and real value. By not flushing, you're cutting your water use and your wastewater flow in half. By removing human waste from the wastewater flow, you're taking all the really difficult stuff, the fecal coliforms and other pathogens, not to mention the septic plugging solids, right out of the equation, leaving only gray water. Like you said, it's good common sense. It just makes everything so much easier.
What made the decision even easier is that there's a BioLet dealer in town. Parts and service, if I should ever need them, backed by the factory 3-year warranty.
Are you ready to start the festivities?
Sure am. I'm putting the BioLet over there in the corner. I'll be putting in the partition wall later.
Oh, that's a relief. I was kind of worried about the privacy angle. How tough an installation do you think this will be?
Not bad at all. I built this place, so I might be handier than most, but it really is a piece of cake. Shall we unpack it?
As you'll notice, your BioLet comes totally assembled. Everything you'll need for a typical installation comes right in the carton. That includes the upper and lower vent pipe. There's a roof flashing.
The owner's manual looks good too. There's even a how-to video.
Let's take a look at the tools you'll need, Len.
A basic job would require just a plumb bob, a screwdriver, an electric drill, a 2 1/4 inch hole bit, and a reciprocating saw. My particular job here will require an extension bit. First, I'll position the BioLet where I want it. You want to be sure the vent pipe goes up between any joists or rafters. You don't want to have to drill through one. I'm using the plumb bob to make sure the hole above for the vent pipe is lined up exactly with the vent pipe connection on the back of the BioLet. Hand me the drill and slide the BioLet out of the way, will ya?
Sure.
I'm going to use this extension bit to drill a pilot hole through the upstairs floor. From there, I mark the ceiling and drill through the roof. Now, I'm using a 2 1/4 inch hole bit for this 2-inch lower vent pipe. Here we go. So far, so good. That was easy. Let's go upstairs.
While Len is completing that stage, I need to mention something. Positive airflow and proper venting of your BioLet are crucial to its operation. When routing your vent pipe, try to run it straight up through the roof. If you have to make a jog to miss a joist or rafter or other obstruction, use 45-degree angles. More extreme bends can cause turbulence in the air pipe, which can impede the airflow. With the vent pipe hole completed through the ceiling and the pilot hole drilled through the roof, we can head up to the roof ourselves.
Up here, I follow the pilot hole to cut a slightly oversized hole for the 4 1/2 inch upper insulating jacket. I'll use this reciprocating saw because this hole is too big for the usual expanding or hole bit. I've assembled the vent pipe sections, slipped on the insulating pipe, and have dropped the complete pipe through the roof and onto the BioLet. Now, I simply slide the flashing down over the pipe and tuck it under the shingles. Using a 100% silicone caulk to seal the flashing makes sure there are no leaks around the pipe.
Back down inside, the final step for installation is mounting the BioLet to the wall and attaching the vent pipe. Just slide the mounting brackets onto the back of the unit, mark the wall for the screws, and secure the BioLet. Now all we need to do is discuss a few startup steps for your new BioLet. Preparing the BioLet for use is easy. You'll find a bag of starter mix in the carton with the unit, which actually consists of composted peat moss and small wood shavings. Add water sparingly. The starter mix should be well moistened, but not wet. Open the lid and add the mix to the composting chamber. Spread it out evenly. Plug the BioLet into its electrical socket and push the micro switch for a few seconds. Release the switch. The purpose here is to level and mix the starter humus evenly. This also transfers a small portion of humus through the grate into the disposal chamber below. Your BioLet is now ready for use. Simple, isn't it? There are just a few operating tips to keep in mind. First, the thermostat setting. The thermostat controls the heat. The higher the setting, the faster the rate of evaporation. The thermostat allows you fingertip tuning to balance your BioLet to your specific use. Generally, keep the thermostat at 1 or 2 for 1 or 2 people, and at 3 or 4 for 3 or 4 people. Naturally, the higher the setting, the faster the evaporation of liquids. But keep in mind, you don't want your compost to dry out. You want to keep it moist, sort of like a damp sponge, and of a loose, even, homogeneous consistency. To maintain this consistency, add 1 pint of humus mix per person per week if used daily, or 1 pint per month for occasional use. Add water if the compost becomes dry, and turn the thermostat down a little. Conversely, if liquid appears in the sight tubes on the lower front sides of your BioLet, turn the thermostat up a little, and then back down when the liquids disappear. There are just a few more operating tips. First, if you're going to be gone for more than 2 days, disconnect your unit from the power source and install the seat plug. This will prevent your compost from drying out. In the winter, it's all right to let your BioLet freeze because there's nothing to drain, there's nothing to harm. To use your BioLet on a winter weekend, remember to leave the power disconnected until the compost has thoroughly thawed. That will avoid damage to the mixing unit. While we're on the subject of winter, be certain your vent pipe is well insulated at the point it leaves heated space until its termination. Your BioLet is a superbly designed yet simple product which will give you years of trouble-free, convenient service. Remember to read your owner's manual and don't be afraid to ask questions of your local BioLet dealer. Or call 1-800-5-BioLet and join the hundreds of thousands of BioLet owners the world over and appreciate real convenience while you make your own important contribution to our global environment.